start.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome at the press point following the meeting of High Representative Vice President Federica Mogherini with Mr. Bill Gates, co-chair of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They will say a few words, and then we'll try to take a couple of questions as we are pressed for time. High Rep, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Maya. Bill, it's been really a pleasure and an honor for me to welcome you here in Brussels, in the EU institutions. It was a pleasure and extremely interesting to hear from you the amazing work the Foundation is doing on so many of the things we share, especially the work on the Sustainable Development Goals. Development is the best investment for Europeans on our own security and stability. We're both heading to Munich Security Conference, and we shared, I think, the assessment of the fact that the best way of building security for our own citizens is investing in development in the rest of the world. I am told sometimes I'm too optimistic, but I think I'm in good company here, which is good. You mentioned several times the fact that trends in the world seem to be negative, but in reality there are so many things that are improving in terms of living conditions, decrease of children mortality, for instance. So we see that change can happen, is already happening, but it requires us to work really hard and together to achieve that. And I think we share with the Gates Foundation and with you personally the same attitude, focus on cooperation and partnership, and focus on improving people's lives. Not because it's the good thing to do, it's also the good thing to do, but it's because it's a smart thing to do also for ourselves. I had the opportunity to share with Bill Gates the details of the work the European Union is doing. We are by far, together with our member states, the first provider of humanitarian aid, development assistance, but also we are the major economic actor, not only in Africa, but also in the rest of the world. And we are now developing our work even further with the launch of an external investment plan where we're trying to bring in the private sector, and your foundation is obviously one of the interlocutors that have more value for us in this work we're doing to try and mobilize the private investments in the most fragile places, in particular in Africa, aimed at reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. This and I close here, means, again, working together, private, public, Europe and others, including the United States, and having the European Union as a reliable partner for everybody in the world. We will continue to be there. We will continue to be the major investor and donor worldwide, in particular for poverty reduction, in particular for reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. We will continue to be a pillar of the UN system and a point of reference for NGOs, foundations that have this as their main objective. So, Bill, once again, thank you very much for being here with us.
Mr. Gates?
Well, as Commissioner Mogherini said, we had an excellent meeting. We share the goals of achieving the SDGs, and in particular, doing great work to see Africa develop. There's been a lot of great progress in the last 16 years. Yesterday was the release of the Foundation annual letter that talked about some of those achievements. And as was said, Europe and the European Union in particular have been amazing in that. Later today we'll talk about how Europe spends money on research to help with these health goals. But in the aid area that lets the vaccines be delivered, being partners in Gavi, lets the HIV medicines get out there. It's been fantastic. So we shared a view on where Africa's making progress and how we can do even more. I'm thrilled with the European External Investment Plan. And we talked about reaching out to the private sector people so that those investments are actually the ones that go in and not only improve the human condition there, but also to some degree encourage people that staying in their countries, getting educated there, developing their economy, that's an obvious thing for them to do. We have to take a long-term view of these things, whether it's building up better governance, solving tough health problems, inventing new medicines. You know, this is stuff that takes 10 plus years often, but having a partner like the European Union has been fantastic. They've been very generous on the things that we do. Country by country, we work with the people we have there. So it's an important partnership and a lot of ambitious long-term goals that we share. Thank you.
Deutsche Welle. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Deutsche Welle, Africa Service. I have two questions for both of you. I just want to know how much progress is made on the development programs that Bill Gates is conducting in Africa. I know because you are involved in health, in economics. So what challenges have you faced and how progress is made? And to Ms. Mogherini, how much EU is cooperating in facilitating for private sector, probably in the political and governance aspects, because these aspects are very important for the achievement of the private sector and for the development of sustainable goals, for the achievement of sustainable goals. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, the two of the institutions that we helped create with amazing European support are the Global Alliance for Vaccines and the Global Fund, which focuses on malaria, TB, and HIV. And so we've done a lot of work to measure how those diseases are coming down, the vaccine preventable diseases and the HIV, TB, and malaria. And there's been very good progress that's directly connected to the generosity that's been there. You know, getting vaccines out to more of the children, including some new vaccines for things like diarrhea and pneumonia. And so we track country by country through partners we have like the IHME, International Health Metrics and Evaluation, how the childhood death or maternal mortality, how that's going down in each country. And the great thing about that is there's a number of countries that have made very rapid progress. They're positive outliers like Ethiopia, Rwanda, and so really understanding the best practices there and how working with our partners we can get other countries to adopt some of those has been a huge thing. One particular challenge has been polio, and we're hoping that this is the last year that there are any polio cases in Asia, which is Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Africa, which is mostly Nigeria. So we're very close on a huge goal there, which is the eradication of polio.
For my part of the question, first of all, the external investment plan provides a financial guarantee for the private sector to go in and invest in the most fragile areas, which are also the ones that need it the most. And that is a relevant value. We expect to leverage 44 billion euros for investments in Africa by 2020. Sometimes I hear about the need for a Marshall Plan. Maybe this is a European plan, but the magnitude is quite relevant. But you're right, it's not only the money and it's not only the financial guarantee, it's also the work we will do and we are doing to accompany investments, because we know very well that the business sector finds difficulties in investing